What's up, guys? It's Jason from Premier Aviation HD, and this is a pre-flight inspection. I'm getting ready for a flight this morning, so I'm going to kind of show you what I do to get the aircraft ready to fly. For those of you that watch the channel, you know this is November 3572 Zulu, our little Piper Warrior 2. Anyway, so basically I started out, here's my pre-flight inspection. There's a cockpit section, which I'll do here in a moment. Fuselage, the first thing we want to check is rivets. So I've already kind of done this morning, but what we're doing is basically going around checking to make sure any rivets that we see that are missing, loose, damaged, appear to be coming out, anything like that. Like I said, I've already done that this morning, but that's the first thing on the list. Antennas. Now this aircraft has an extra antenna, and believe it or not, we're not sure which one is the actual functional antenna. At least that's according to our mechanics. So I just make sure, hey, they're not loose, nothing's missing. Our beacon, yeah, everything looks to be in good place there. Okay, so next thing on the list, rudder gust lock removed. That has been removed. Tail tie down, that has been disconnected. Trim tab, anti-servo trim tab on these Warriors here. And as I lift the elevator, it does move in conjunction with that. It's not restricted, binding, anything like that. All right. What's our next step? Control surfaces, elevator and rudder. Well, we're just going to inspect those, make sure there's nothing. Here's our rudder. You'll notice it says do not push. That just means you can push on this, you just can't move the aircraft with the rudder. Like don't be pushing the rudder to move the aircraft. So yeah, control surfaces looks good there. And here, like we already kind of tested our elevator, but you see how it's moving? That should be free and not binding, making any weird noises. All right, moving on to the right wing. That's the left wing. I guess I could do that one first, but whatever. All right, right wing. This is on my right now. I was on the right side, but doesn't matter which wing you start with. Make sure your ailerons are working and that they're lined up. As it's coming up, the yoke should be pointing towards it. The top of the yoke should be pointing towards the aileron. So, do you see what I'm talking about? Those of you that are not flying yet. The reason you want to check that is, you know, hey, like what if the mechanic was in there tearing it down and he connected the cable, or he connected the yoke to the pulley system incorrectly, and you're trying to bank to the right, and now all of a sudden your aircraft banks left. That could be bad. All right, wingtip and leading edge, check for damage. So, do I see any damage? No. You'll notice on some of these aircraft, you know, there's going to be some little cracks and things beginning to develop. This has been here for a while, so I've been keeping an eye on it. Generally speaking, they'll drill a little hole to arrest the crack and make sure that doesn't happen or it doesn't continue. So light bulbs are good. Don't see any issues there, so that's good. All right, main wheel tire inflated. Well, that's the main on this side. Main looks good. We're also going to check brakes. Actually, I did that earlier, but what you would want to do is basically inspect for any, you know, brake fluid leakage. Make sure that the pad is okay. You're not seeing any damage to it. Okay. And we're not going to fuel tank sump because Cortland just filled this plane up last night, so I'm not going to sump it today. But I am going to check the fuel quantity. You see that little neck down in there? Yep. All right, so we're good. Check that on the other wing as well. Wing tie down, we don't need to check that. It's not tied down. All right, let's go ahead and check the nose before we get over to the other wing. Oh, there's some stuff that's open. Alright, so here you have the Lycoming motor, 160 horsepower, air-cooled. Check our oil. Basically, just looking to see if anything is leaking, fluids, anything like that. And you'll notice here there's a little air scoop. It's got a hole, or it's got a piece missing off of it. It's fine. It does function, but just no. Alright. Counterclockwise. And we're right at above 6 quarts. We usually fly with this aircraft at 6 quarts. And yeah, so that's where you would check that. Make sure there's no wires disconnected. All the linkages appear intact. Everything's good there. Go ahead and relatch it. Alright, moving on, checking the prop, seeing any nicks, damage, cracks, problems there, so I'm just checking that. Here's the nose cone, or the tip, I should say. Also just checking to make sure these screws are tight. Everything looks good there. Intake's down there. Prop looks good. Alright. We'll check the nose gear here in just a moment. Let's check the left side. Alright, so left side of, or yeah, if you're in the aircraft, left side of the motor. Just looking again for anything disconnected, burnt, leaking. Oil filter looks tight, no oil dripping out of it. Electrical looks okay. Alright. Go ahead and relatch these. This one's a little bit finicky. But you don't want that nose cowling like popping open on you when you're in flight. That would be bad. Alright. So, fuel strainer, that's been done. Exhaust, we checked for damage and obstruction. Exhaust is down here. Don't feel anything obstructing it. Propeller spinner, we did that. Alternator belt, I did check that. Windshield, check for cracks. That's a good idea. See anything cracked up there? Nope. Alright, carburetor, air filter. Checking that. I'm not going to check that, but it will be fine. Landing lights. Basically, is the bulb intact? We're good there. Nose wheel, strut, and tire. Alright, this is pretty important, so everything's important, but making sure there's no damage. Properly inflated. I don't see any hydraulic fluid leaking, anything like that. Static source opening. Basically for your pitos and stuff, you know, there's your airspeed over there. There's a couple of other locations. I have already checked those, and I'm not going to crawl around under the plane again. Sorry guys, but you want to make sure that your static source and your you know, your airspeed pitot source is available, isn't blocked. You don't have a spider in it or something like that. Alright, we're doing the same thing on this wing. Tire looks properly inflated. Rivets, like I said, I already went and checked those. Let's see, fuel tank. Go ahead and check the fuel on this side. Yep, Portland did fill it up. Awesome. Alright, this is our stall warning. Make sure it's free. It's moving. And Wing tie down, we don't need to do that. Aileron, I'm going to check this aileron. This leading wingtip edge. Now you see where there was a crack here and they arrested it, like I was talking about? There's a little hole that was drilled and they just kind of painted over it, so that's what I was talking about. Alright, everything's looking good. Aileron up and control surface, or I'm sorry, control yoke up. Good. Alright. Flaps are secure. I basically just want to, these are manually actuated, so I want to make sure they're locked. And it's pretty important on aircraft that you don't step on the flaps, especially on a low wing well, obviously just on a low wing aircraft, you don't step on the flaps when they're down. I want to make sure they're up and locked so you can step there. And let's make sure we got everything exterior. Alright, that's it. That's the exterior inspection. Now, most of the interior stuff I'm going to do on my run-up, so you guys have seen me do that a million times. But that's basically an abbreviated version of what I do. When I was crawling around under the aircraft, it's kind of hard to use a camera, but so that kind of gives you an idea of what I do before I take off. Before I even start the motor, I've gone through the aircraft with a pretty fine-tooth comb. I do literally check every rivet line just to make sure that there isn't any, and it's probably overkill. I know that I'm going to get comments for that, but I do check those just because, you know, hey, there could have been a problem, and how are you going to know unless you check? So anyway, I hope you enjoy this video, and be sure to subscribe, and we really do appreciate every single one of you guys. Hope you enjoy the flight this week as well.